The Secrets of Stargate is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
You're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, Episode 53.
Janet West, Jackson has identified the seventh symbol.
All right, here we go. We are about to try to make a connection.
All we gotta do is bust out of here, commandeer the ship, and fly on home.
Indeed. You say that a lot.
I know that this could be dangerous. But this is our job, right? It's what we signed on to do.
It was never about going home. It's about getting us to where we're going.
Hi, I'm Jack Baruzzini, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where we talk about the hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, and more. And joining me today is Father Cory Sticha. Hi, Father.
Howdy, Jack.
And Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Jack.
And Victor Lambs. Hey, Victor.
Thanks, Jack, but my real name is Nadal. I remember everything.
Oh, great. Now he's starting with the lines at the beginning.
Nice.
Switching it up a little bit.
Yes, we're going to be discussing the 11th episode of Season 3, which is Past and Present. But before we jump into that, I want to tell everyone that we have a Discord server now where you can go and chat with all of us and all the other fans of SQPN, whether or not you're a patron. This is not behind any sort of a Patreon paywall or anything. You can get to that at sqpn.com/discord. And on the subject of that, I think that Victor has a little surprise for us.
I'm a pony now, apparently. Yeah, friend of the show and graphic artist, illustrator, cartoonist extraordinaire, Micah has drawn me as a My Little Pony. So if you've ever wanted to see that, I don't know that I want to meet you in person, but you can head over to Discord and scroll up until you see a picture of me as a pony from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic.
Yeah, Micah's the one who did our awesome artwork, especially the four of us standing in front of the Stargate as SG-1. So among other great merch that you could get. So go check that out. Yeah, and Victor has said he's going to do his promise to fulfill My Little Pony, Secrets of My Little Pony.
Yeah, never watched the show, but have always meant to. So I'm really looking forward to watching through it with a few diehard My Little Pony fans. So.
Yeah, we can get us that Secrets of My Little Pony.
Yeah.
Awesome. The episode we're talking about today, like I said, is Past and Present. Here's a little summary of that. The team arrives on the planet Vius to discover that all the inhabitants have had their memories wiped a year ago in an event called the Vorlix, and they cannot find either their elders or any signs of children. They meet a woman named Kira, and if I had $1 for every time there was a woman character in a science fiction show named Kira, I'd have like $6, which is kind of weird. Who is a caretaker that seems to be a genius scientist. They also discover that Linnea, who we last saw in Prisoners, the 3rd episode of Season 2, came to the planet and seems to be responsible for the Vorlix. They bring back Kira to the SGC, and she and Daniel start getting rather cozy together. After failed experiments to clear the memory block of the inhabitants, Sam and Kira discover that Linnea was experimenting with a pesticide called Dargal, which damaged the fertility of the population. They discover that Dargal was used to rapidly de-age the population of Vius, and that through DNA testing, that Kira is Linnea, and that Linnea is responsible for these experiments. After a tense confrontation, and Daniel's complete twitterpation with Linnea almost leads to her committing suicide, she agrees to have her memories wiped so that she can return peacefully to Vius and live out her life as Kira. Fun times. So, what are your thoughts on this episode, Father?
So Daniel forgets Shorey and goes after another woman. And now, this actually is a good closure to the Prisoners episode, just because we find out what happens to Linnea. But yeah, this is more about Daniel having, my wife is dead, so I'm free.
Catch me on the rebound.
Austin.
Yeah.
Yep.
Words of Austin Powers. That means I'm single again.
Yeah.
What about you, Lisa?
I've always loved this episode. I think that it takes kind of just I don't say stereotypical sci-fi plot and then gives us a little twist in that it's a character that we've seen before that not only created the virus, but then went from bad to good, doesn't remember who she is, and then, the drama of, is she going to remember? Do we help her? Do we lock her in a closet? Like, what do we do? And by the way, she's hitting on Daniel, and he's okay with it. And it's just, there's just some, I don't know. To me, it's just classic Stargate fun. I love it. You even though you've seen it before and you know what's going to happen, and that Linnea is showing up, it's I don't know, keeps you guessing in the original one, and to me leaves some open-ended questions that they never answer, but it does leave questions.
Yeah, definitely. I like since I've not seen the rest of the series, I was wondering whether or not she comes back, and I'm assuming that she doesn't, but that would be something that would be cool to revisit if they ever make a new show. Bring back that character and do something interesting with it.
Yeah, what's she doing now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is she still good, or is she switched back to her old ways?
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Victor?
Yeah, I agree with Father Cory and Lisa. It's a good episode. There's a lot going on here. It does raise lots of serious questions about, nature versus nurture. Are people, defined by their experiences or by their innate personality? And I think this episode raises that question. But perhaps the most valuable contribution this makes to the Stargate canon is the Triple Blimp we get to see in a couple scenes. It's a blimp, but with three blimps. It's like three blimps stacked on top of each other. It's really cool. There's a scene in there where they show it like kind of close up, and I had to rewind that like 5 times because you never see a triple blimp anymore.
It looks like something out of like a Final Fantasy or something like that. That kind of fantastical Zeppelin or something.
But in all seriousness, these are my favorite Stargate episodes, where they go to a planet that's in some state of industrial, evolution that may or may not be the same track that kind of our Earth took. And so you see kind of where the set designers and stuff, made the subtle shifts from our own history and stuff. And so one of those is a triple blimp. And we see this come up, in SG-1 in Atlantis. And it's always my favorite parts of the show where we see it.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, this episode made me think of the episode of the original series where they go to the planet Beta 3 with the evil computer Landru. It's got that same kind of feel, like that sort of mid-20th century. And I like that. And you don't really see that in science fiction anymore, where the planets are essentially just Earth clones. And I like that kind of weirdness. And I also like that they don't really talk about that at all. I mean, you can have the parallel development because they are also humans from Earth, but I like that it's just there and they just go with it.
Plus, we get Lieutenant Randy Disher from Monk playing essentially the same character he plays on Monk, which if you've watched Monk, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, go watch Monk because it's a really good show. But yeah, definitely. So Jason Gray Stanford, played Randall Disher on Monk, and he's in this episode as well.
He plays Orner, right?
Yes, Orner.
I do like his character. He's just so uptight and kind of cagey about everything the whole time.
Mm-hmm. And what?
Well, and then there's the woman he's with, who of course I can't remember.
Yeah.
And they're sitting there fighting like old husband and wife.
That's the best part of this episode.
And of course, it turns out they are old husband and wife.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Married.
Well, don't
43
expect
years.
supper. I never do. And then she turns back and goes, "Fah," It's like, it's like those two are
That
married.
wasn't a huge clue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they're like, oh, we don't know who we're with. It's like, yeah, you do. Come on, it's pretty
You
obvious.
just- you just
I think
don't
I'm with the hot
want it to
genius.
be.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He was after the cute blonde, and it's like, no, you're not.
No, you're with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I figured they've got to have houses and stuff. So I think, did all their like social security cards and all their documents just disappear too?
But they don't know their names.
Yeah.
That's true.
But
But-
okay, here's the hiccup. So they said they have pictures of elders, right?
Right.
Okay, so if they are the elders that became young again, theoretically, they look like their old selves, their younger old self, right?
Right.
So shouldn't there be pictures of them? I mean, like, I've got pictures of myself younger than I am now in my house. Well, really, it's on my computer, but I mean, that was my only hiccup. Was we got pictures of elders. I'm like, but there's no pictures of the elders when they were younger that look just like you.
Yeah, the pictures look like.
If you look at the technological development though that they're at, I mean, they'd be equivalent of early 1900s. So they may not have had photographic technology that long.
Yeah, they had like daguerreotypes. It looks like in the pictures we do see in the library. And this is, I think, the first of like the great Stargate libraries where like SG-1 will find themselves looking over old books for a clue.
Yeah.
But
okay, I'll accept
which would
that.
be cool.
There weren't many, if any, photos from 50 years before this time period.
Works out, yeah. So yeah, we meet Horner and Myris, who are the not married couple, and then we are introduced to Kira, who is she describes herself as a healer who she just knows that that's what she's supposed to do, and it's also becomes apparent that she's very smart about scientific matters. So she's the one kind of holding everything together as the society around them is collapsing because no one knows how to harvest grain or run the public works or anything anymore.
But they all learned how to. I mean, they remembered how to get dressed and use the bathroom and speak. So.
Yeah, but I mean,
selective
in
amnesia.
Cases of amnesia, people don't like forget how to function most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, do you notice they had smokestacks that were still going?
Yep.
So there's.
That was just where they were
They know how to
burning
start fires
the
and things.
bodies of people who forgot how to get dressed and like not walk into traffic or something. I don't know. You have to imagine that in any catastrophe like this, they say like, "Oh, winter is coming and it'll be devastating." It's like, yeah, but the first year that had to be pretty devastating too, right? I mean, like, I don't know. But we get mention of a Dr. Zervis, who was one of the people who first welcomed the old Linnea to the planet, and I was just wondering if that was a conscious like reference to Dr. Zaius on Planet of the Apes. Like the progressive scientist who's like, ape shall not kill ape. On the original Planet of the Apes there. Oh, yeah. Dr. Zervis, Dr. Zaius, yeah. Dr. Zaius.
I do feel like the names in this episode, like the alien words like Vorlix and Dargal, those sound like the placeholder names for your D&D character.
They do.
You can't come up with a better name. Like they're low tier sci-fi names.
Dargal, take me away.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like they could have done better with that, but hey.
Well, at least Vorlix maybe was better than Neelix.
Everything is better
yeah.
than Alex.
Yeah.
Even the Kazon.
No, not the Kazon.
This episode was written by Tor Alexander Valenza, who we just had another one of his episodes. And when you look through his list, he wrote some darn good episodes.
He did, yeah.
One that's coming up later this season, which is Ergo.
Oh, that's right. He wrote Ergo too, yeah.
Can't wait.
And he wrote
Can't
Divide
wait.
and Conquer, season 4. I don't know if it's a fan favorite or just me favorite, but it's a shipper favorite.
Yeah, but then he also wrote Holiday
Yeah, I was going to skip
from
that.
season 2.
He wrote Point of View, though, which is
He wrote
really
Point of
good.
View.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Spirits, which we
I like
think
better,
we were
yeah.
mixed on whether or not we liked that one. Yeah.
I liked it well enough, but
It's
yeah.
fun.
So it was just interesting to see that he's written so many different. I feel like they had different flavors or feeling. They don't all feel the same. Like there were certain other writers that when we hit one of her episodes, we were like, oh look, it's her again. But his no,
And he writes
we remember them.
he writes witty dialogue that's not like quippy. It's not like Joss Whedon quippy. He writes actual like witty dialogue, I think. Like where Kara Linnea first says, "Oh, so it is a transportation device," referring to the Stargate, and Teal'c goes, "So it is." I laughed out loud at that because it was someone adopting kind of Teal'c's like way of speaking with unintentionally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. I also think that, I don't know if like y'all have felt this, but like for the past couple of episodes, I feel like Jack has gotten almost annoying in his like snarky.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it was just too much, and I feel like this episode it dialed that back a lot, which was nice. He also had less of a presence because I feel like we were getting the Jack O'Neill show for a little bit there.
Yeah, we were.
Right. I would agree. A lot of annoying, over the top. We'll just call it over the top, right? Sarcasm and stuff like that.
Jack,
This felt
over the
a
top?
little more.
Don't say it. A la 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 la.
Yeah.
We get a lot of that in this episode too, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I thought one of the things I really noticed in this episode were the looks. It wasn't just his what he was snark. It was, he had these looks on his face, and he'd look one way, he'd look the other. And, it was constantly he was giving Carter or Teal'c a look rather than saying it, which I think conveyed him, but it wasn't as annoying.
Which that's a little better.
So
And then you got him waiting in the hallway for Daniel when he's coming out after being with Kira. It's like, you don't want to get into a relationship with her.
Right.
A little too late now.
Yeah.
He does know
She's
how to
an
pick his
easy
women, huh?
lover. She's got a hold on you. Believe it. Yeah.
Could have
Just like
sung
Phil.
that one about Hathor too.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Phil Collins has a message for every Stargate episode.
Just like the when you watch the Wizard of Oz, but Dark Side of the Moon with it, you can do that with Phil Collins and Stargate.
I'll have to try that. Yeah. Just play some Genesis albums like while watching Stargate. That'll be fun. Yeah. But yeah.
But Daniel had Hathor. He's got her, and he had the crazy one with the sarcophagus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, Daniel's got like a will of stone there. Like he is just like stalwart and unflappable, and like it doesn't take much really to get him to completely forget his dead wife.
Yeah.
No, you don't understand. It's not that I don't, but I just lost my wife, and I really shouldn't. Well, if you insist.
Pretty lady with the kisses and the
Yeah.
Didn't put up much of a fight there.
no.
Speaking of Daniel, and the sarcophagus, I don't know if y'all saw this, but a couple days ago on Twitter, there's this news article about they discovered a lead sealed casket underneath Notre Dame, and he and so Michael Shanks and Sue Ann Braun were going back and forth about that on Twitter.
Oh, no
it was
way.
really good.
That was awesome.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yes. Yeah.
So he's like, whatever you do, don't open it. So it was good.
Yeah.
I did like though the first scene when he visits or he shows Linnea, Kara her guest quarters there at the SGC, and he says, oh, there's some clothes in here, one style fits all, and he doesn't finish the line. But then as they're talking, there's a very cool camera shot set up where he they're shooting. William Garady is the director on this, but he's shooting the main characters, and behind them is a mirror, so you can see the reflection in one mirror, and then on the opposite wall is a second mirror, so you can see the reflection, and then you can see a second reflection on the opposite wall mirror, and you don't see the cameras at all. You don't see any microphones or anything in the shot, and then they actually like walk out of the path of the mirror, and the camera kind of tracks to follow them, and it's very smooth. It's a very cool shot.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And with a lot
It's
of mood
always cool
lighting.
it's always cool to see those kind of camera tricks. And they're not really impressive nowadays because you can just edit that out in post, but it is fun to see what they could do with that before you got all those tools.
But it's interesting, though, more and more shows are starting to go back to the practical.
Yeah.
Stuff like this, where they're doing less and less with needing to do the CGI, except for like touch-ups and stuff like that. And more of, no, we want to go back to the, the more traditional ways of doing these things.
Yeah.
And that's impressive that people are kind of trying to relearn that. So, but it's good to see in this show like this where, they didn't quite have the CGI yet.
And I like to think that maybe like the director of photography got bored. He's like, this is like the 7th take we've done of this. Just put another mirror on that wall. I want to like try something really cool here. You just say your lines and I'll film them,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Rather than just getting your flat over-the-shoulder shots for dialogue, you do something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we get Linnea up to no good again with the experimentation with her Dargal, and I do like that they kind of hang a lantern on the whole DDT thing. Like they didn't leave it as like this is an analogy for using bad chemicals. Like they just kind of say, yeah, it's kind of like that.
But if we hadn't banned DDT, would we have as much malaria as we do in Africa? Who's the real monsters here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One person writes one book about dead birds, and then suddenly, how many thousands of people die in Africa? But anyways,
a lot.
Yeah.
That and CFOs.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's a different discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this
I
Well,
was
of course, the idea though that this gas released from her laboratory or whatever, and covered the entire planet.
big
Well,
gas.
there's a lot.
That was
of,
pretty-
Yeah.
A laboratory accident causing a pandemic? That's science
Yeah, I know,
fiction.
right?
I mean, that's
Let's not go
Yeah.
there.
Not topical at all. Yeah. So, I mean, if they'd worn masks, maybe they wouldn't have gotten that gas.
yeah.
That's another thing that's funny is this is one of those sci-fi tropes where you discover this way to de-age people or to bring people back to life, and then it's never talked about again. Where in reality, if you discovered something like that, you know that the U.S. government would be selling this to companies, and then they would be developing it into like anti-aging serum.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I mean, think about it.
absolutely.
They have the formula for Fountain of Youth, right?
Mhm.
I mean, drastic. Yeah.
I mean,
There's lots of
you
people who
forget who
trade
you are.
amnesia for Fountain of Youth.
Yeah. And when they redosed Linnea at the end, shouldn't she have turned into a baby?
Well, I think that they kind of
They tweaked it?
said that she tweaked it.
Oh, okay.
Right? No, but think about it. It was Linnea, Destroyer of Worlds, who tweaked it, allowing herself to become amnesiac again.
She could have been the boss baby.
Because why would she give herself amnesia again? Really?
Because she was still fighting the Kira
Yeah.
side, was still fighting the Linnea side.
And
hadn't
even when
quite
she was
taken over
Kira,
yet.
I mean, like, because after they gave like Randy Disher like the first dose, and he went into like defib and stuff, and they had to get the crash cart out to revive him. She's like, "Oh, I know what I did wrong. Here, bring him back up here. I'll inject him again." And they're like maybe he should like have a Jello cup and like a glass of water first, and
Yeah.
then you can like dose him again. And she's like, "No, I got this. You know."
I'm good.
So I thought it was like it was
you know,
good to see like the Linnea side like coming through there. It's like, no, just line the human guinea pig up again and we'll hit him again.
And that does
And
get
of course,
into the
he's
whole-
like, "I'll do anything for you.
Yeah.
You can kill me. It's okay."
yeah,
Yeah.
it does get.
Well,
into
can
the
we
whole,
talk though? Like they're doing experiments, and they don't actually have the crash cart sitting
Yes.
there ready to go.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's like
Yeah, it's like down the hall.
Yeah, they'd go like to the next room and grab it and come running in.
They just forgot.
they were using that for like
that one
their
of those, like-
a bachelor party or something.
Yeah.
Or like the show was like a whole 30 seconds too short. Like, okay, next time, let's film the scene. Let's have the crash cart down the hall. It'll fill in a little bit more time. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it does raise the whole question of nature versus nurture
Yeah.
with Linnea. Like, if she'd been born into different circumstances and hadn't had to survive that way, would she have turned out differently? And I guess it's kind of what they explore here with Kira using her powers for good.
Mhm.
But it'll be
But-
interesting to see, like,
It's a
But she
long
also
would
says that
last?
once her memory comes back, that she's almost fighting
right.
Linnea. You know, that there's that fight inside of her between being, good Kira and bad Linnea.
Mm-hmm.
And, nature versus nurture wouldn't address the memories issue. It would be more.
and it is kind of a
so-
sci-fi trope we see where like instead of incarcerating people, we do the humane thing and like erase all their memories and they become docile and yeah.
Just put an ice pick behind their eye.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So here's the question. So Kira was able to figure out the cure the first time to reverse the memory loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's to stop her again?
Yeah.
I mean, so everyone on that planet's going to be, don't tell her
Yeah.
who she is. Don't tell
Exactly.
her what, and she's not going to be like, oh, I wonder if I can.
Yeah.
I mean, how long
Remember
is
that
it
time we all
for?
took that serum? Remember when you took the serum? Gosh, I remember when I took. Oh wait, shh.
Shh, not that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
I
that
don't know
was
why they
my.
didn't just-
I think it would have been fun to come back to this a couple of years later, or maybe in the reboot, she's young again, or whatever, and be like, where did she go next, and what did she do?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's because they just don't have the machinery they would need to produce it on the planet. Because like she was like crushing up blue crystals with a mortar and pestle, or if they don't have like cute Dr. Fraser's help to to do it.
Yeah.
They don't have anyone to walk in and say the 800 microliter potency is ready for a prelim,
Yeah.
which was my favorite bit of technobabble from the show. Just like out of nowhere, the 800 milliliter potency is ready for a prelim.
They do have the technology though, because that's how she did it the first time.
Oh,
Well, she made the gas the first
Yeah.
time. But you're talking about the vaccine or whatever, the
Yeah.
cure.
the literal brainwash.
Yeah, that-
Be able to-
The solvent that dissolves the gunk that's sitting on just the memory part of your brain. Yeah, I did appreciate.
It's like
Yeah,
when your processor starts overheating in your computer, you got to put some more thermal paste on.
yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, I keep a tube of that
Gummed up,
Yeah.
handy. I did like that it was a literal brainwash. That like it's like scrubbing bubbles for your brain cells, and we actually get to see a computer animation of it. Like, whoosh.
And I think that's fun though, that when the shows you have the solution, but it doesn't have to be so technical, in-depth, crazy, get into all of the medical, whatever's possible. And they just kind of be like, it's this thing, you inject it into your carotid artery, woof, it works. And the rest
Brain
is just like,
stuck,
okay,
make
cool,
brain
let's move on.
unstuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when
So we can focus on the real issue, which is the whole Linnea,
Daniel.
Kira world, Kira, Daniel. Yeah.
yeah, so when he dumped like Linnea, was that because she was evil, or because he realized she was like 86 years old and it was just a little weird?
Evil. Just evil.
Or because
All he saw was a cute blonde.
I think he just wasn't
He didn't care
allowed to
about-
stay with her, to be
And
honest.
she's like,
He didn't have a choice.
I remember when Ike was beating the Kaiser, and he's like 23 skidoo, and he's like, oh my gosh, I made a horrible mistake.
See, I'm just thinking he was like, yeah, don't call me, I'll call you. You know, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got another planet to go to.
Ex-girlfriends to find in the next season or so. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you know, he always has I don't know, he has a way with women.
For some reason, like, doesn't seem like the kind of guy who'd be like the one getting all the girls, but I don't know.
And when Jack finds out,
He does.
he does a full George Takei. He does a full. Oh my.
Yeah.
That sounded intentional.
That was intentional. I have to believe it. Yeah.
Seems like Richard Dean Anderson was just kind of given free reign of the script.
Yeah.
He was a producer on it.
I think so.
What are they going to do? Tell MacGyver he can't say what he wants to say?
And I love how like they're like, gosh, do you think like Kara could be like Linnea? And then Dr. Fraser walks in, she's like, oh yeah, we just ran her DNA and she is totally like Linnea.
Totally.
It's like you didn't do that first, or like you didn't think to bring that up until now. You know.
Or do like when she first came into the building. Like, showing her all the way around the this top secret facility. Oh, maybe we should check and make sure she's not this, psycho chick we thought she was.
Well, they did it the first time, right? When Linnea got there. Let's show you all
Yeah.
around. Let's show you how to use the computer, all the stuff. And so at least this time, the one thing Daniel wouldn't do is take her outside the mountains.
Yeah.
There was that.
Right.
Yeah.
They haven't learned their lesson though, and this has got to be like horrible OPSEC. Like, you wouldn't bring anyone through, and if you did, they'd be going right into a cell and being like debriefed and interrogated before they saw anything.
Yeah.
But hey,
And
But I think that was one of Carter's only things really to do this episode was to like light bulb moment, like she could be Linnea,
And be the sciencey person.
Yeah, work with Frasier to
yeah.
We're she got to put on the lab coat, the white
there
lab
you
coat,
go.
so
yeah.
we're all good there.
And like the
Teal didn't
BDUs,
really
she got to wear like the jumpsuit in this episode too when she went off world.
Right?
oh yeah.
Teal didn't have much to do either, besides tell us what his name means.
And to almost get into the room where Daniel's talking to Linnea.
She says, "Can I
Almost
talk
there,
to you alone? Can we be alone?" And she looks like, "I will come." And you're like,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I don't know how many
Shot.
I don't know how many wheels the bicycle on your planet has, Teal'c, but on Earth our bicycles have 2 wheels. Yes, 2 wheels. But yeah, no, I think at this point, like if Daniel expresses like the slightest bit of interest in like a woman, it's like lock her up, solitary confinement, like manacles, laser grid, whatever you need. It's just like he has not had the best track record. And I think we've, made that point.
And it gets worse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's like he can be their detector for evil villains. Just girl likes
Crazy
him, or
women.
vice versa. Then she's the bad guy.
Yeah. he likes some crazy. He just
Yeah, he definitely does, and it completely takes all his like higher reasoning abilities are just out of the game there.
I mean, his mom was like crazy enough to be squashed flat by like an Egyptian headstone or something. So I don't know. Maybe it's some Oedipal thing or something. We could just edit that part out.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Note.
One thing I
No, really, Victor. On that note.
Yeah.
Sometimes a sarcophagus is just a sarcophagus.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
What I did like though is that they didn't keep us in suspense in this episode. Like any other show now would be like a 3-season arc. Like they brought up the Linnea's name 10 minutes into the episode, and they like did the big reveal with still half the episode left to go that Kara was Linnea. And so I do appreciate that, and I do miss that in shows today where they're like, we have this big twist, but the twist isn't the point of the story. The point of the story is the nature versus nurture and how it affects the characters. And, let's get to that.
So don't watch
Much
the
better
new season
pacing.
of Picard then.
It's not too bad, but it stretches things out a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, that's the good thing about this. Every episode is, at least in this time period in the seasons, right? Most of them are self-contained. Every once in a while, you get a two-parter, which we have a two-parter coming up, I think, next. But most of the time, you tackle one issue, and it's pretty much resolved in one episode. And I don't know, it's kind of, I like it.
I like being able to watch a show and not think, oh, what happened in the past 5
Yes.
episodes, and how many more episodes do I have to resolve this story arc?
Yes.
Like, it's gotten to the point where I just don't watch a lot of new shows because I don't feel like committing to like that many episodes to just get one story.
And the worst part is so many of them, they are this big, long season story arc, even if it's only 10 or 12 episodes a season. But then they release them one a week. They put out a bingeable series, a series that is designed to be binged once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know about y'all, I can't remember by the time that next Thursday or Friday, I spend the first 5-10 minutes going to what happened again?
That was my problem with like the new Doctor Who series where they would like have 8 episode seasons, and then you'd have to wait a year and a half for like the next like 8 episode season. I'd be like, I cannot remember, like my life. I've had like 2 kids in the time period that you have released 8 episodes of a show, and I don't know what's going on.
Now, Victor, how do you think people felt after 1989, if you want to bring up Doctor Who, about remembering what happened on the last episode?
Yeah, but then they,
Since it was 2005 was the next
but they just
season.
swept a lot of that under the rug. It wasn't like, here's a big cliffhanger, and it's like, and it's like,
Cliffhanger,
oh, Matt Smith is in a box or something, and all of his enemies hate him. What was happening? But
Yeah.
I find that when they release shows all at one time, when you can just all 8 or 10 episodes, whatever they are, and I can just watch them as fast or slow as I want when I have time and I can cognitively get involved in the story, I like that. But this once a week thing, just like the old days, I don't have the brain power anymore.
And the thing is, the way I think they're taking stories that would be good as like a 3 or 4 part like story and stretching it out into like 10 or 12 episodes, where you get like the first 1 or 2 episodes are interesting, and then you get like 6 episodes of filler, and then you get the like finale episode that ties up the story.
there's a
Right.
And it's just not worth sitting.
there's a reason most movies aren't 8 hours long. You know.
Peter Jackson didn't make them.
Well, yeah. There's a reason most movies aren't 8 hours long.
Yes. Some stories just need to be a miniseries or a movie. They don't need to be an entire season.
Mhm.
But yeah, I do hope that if they make a new Stargate show, that they stick with this kind of format where it can be serialized in terms of character interactions and character development, but you don't get like the heavy serialization where it's a 10-hour long movie, because that's just not. And I think that we're kind of shifting back that way, because I know the new Star Trek show that's coming out is going to be episodic. So hopefully that'll be fun.
Yep, exactly.
Awesome. Did y'all have any other thoughts on this episode?
Nothing here.
I had one extra, and that was I wondered as we talked about the whole Daniel, like Shari just died like last week. Was this episode maybe supposed to be in a different spot in the season, like at the end of the season somewhere, and maybe it got moved up, because it does seem. I mean, I know we talk about they're not all in therapy all the time, but this seemed it just did. It seemed a little fast.
No,
I think it was written to end cap that whole plot.
I think that line was just put in there because they're like, okay, Daniel falls in love with a beautiful alien. Oh, wait, didn't his wife just die? Okay, put a line in there like, my wife just died, but I'm moving on. Great, solved. You know, I think it was pretty much, it was going to happen when it happened. And they just put that line in there just in case somebody said, like, wait a minute, his wife just died, you know?
Yeah.
And it could be like Hugh Grant, you know, like, the brother is, you know, then just caving to the beautiful woman. Like,
yeah. Nice. Awesome. We do have some feedback.
Oh boy.
Paul Leone on Twitter on our recent episode on Dead Man Switch says that it's just one Queen song short of perfection. It says Aris does not quite ring like Flash. So does it. They should have given him a one syllable name. It was more punchy. I still just thought of the Duke Nukem music whenever I saw that guy. So
I will say though that this episode did have some new music in it. I think it was kind of overwrought a little bit, but it was nice at first to hear some new music in Stargate rather than like the same six. I think was a Joel Goldsmith kind of like themes and stings that we usually get. So
yeah, nice. I didn't notice that. I'll have to look for that. I don't know if they changed composers at any point.
I think they kept Joel Goldsmith because he was in one of the last episodes of Atlantis as an extra and stuff. So, and then he died shortly after Atlantis wrapped up. But
oh, that's what we didn't talk about. Kira, she was also a character in Atlantis.
Oh, I know. I recognize that chin someplace. No, she was. Yeah. Was she she wasn't the psychologist, was she? No, she was.
No, she was like the captain of a ship. I can't remember the name of it. Her name was like Helia.
Ah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, and it's a very attractive chin, by the way. So,
as a curly haired girl, I was liking the hair.
Yeah.
She kind of actually funny because she kind of reminded me of the me on the merch.
Oh, nice.
The curlier blonde hair.
I'm working to be as in shape as my cartoon is. So,
yeah,
it's my new goal. Speaking of that, if you want to pick up merch, you can head on over to sqpn.com/merch, where we have all our t-shirts and stickers for the various shows. There's the Stargate stuff, Star Trek. We have Secrets of Star Wars. There's this really cool one with for Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World, where Jimmy's getting off a flying saucer with an alien because it's always alien. So,
yep.
Don't forget to check out the Father Cory collection too.
Oh boy. And soon the My Little Pony featuring Victor Lambs.
That's right.
If you don't look good, we don't look good.
Before we go, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create Secrets of Stargate, including John S., Luke E., Tim and Marie M., Josh C., and Mary F. Their generous donations at sqpn.com make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Stargate and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or on the SQPN YouTube channel. And to find previous episodes of Secrets of Stargate and to send us feedback, please visit sqpn.com/Stargate. You can email us at stargate@sqpn.com or follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on Twitter at SQPN. And we'll be back next time when we'll be discussing the next episode of SG-1, Joel and R's Memories. Until then, Father Cory, thank you for joining me and sharing Secrets of Stargate.
Thank you, Jack.
And Lisa Jones, thank you as well.
Thanks, Jack.
And Victor Lambs, thank you too.
Thanks, Jack. And remember, there are 2 people inside of me, and one of them is a monster.
We always suspect.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yep.
One of them is a pony. I think,
yes,
so.
a pretty pony.
And once again, I'm Jack Baruzzini. Thank you for listening to Secrets of Stargate on StarQuest.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?